the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. It's time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. President Muhammadu Buhari has advised political party candidates and security agents to behave responsibly at tomorrow's governorship election in Edo State, in which 2,210,534 voters have picked up their permanent voters card and will be deciding the fate of the candidates. The president, in a message to voters, political parties, election officials, and security personnel, said he was passionately committed to the conduct of free and fair elections. A statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, quoted the president as admonishing politicians to show do-or-die affairs in the effort to bring about democracy to the next level. 14 candidates, including incumbent Godwin Obaseki of the People's Democratic Party and Sagieze Iyamo of the All Progressive Congress, will participate in the election. In a related development, Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu has ordered the restriction of movement of motor vehicles around the state, according to him, in a move to curb the movement of illicit arms, hard drugs, and political thugs ahead of tomorrow's governorship elections. I mean, this is on the front burner. We're looking to the elections, but time will tell as we continue on the show. That's all on the headline news. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have the duo of Rotu Sotiri and Aaron Akirjala to give us Africa, a global business update, and COVID-19 updates. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. And our dependable Rotus Odiri is here to give us Africa Business Update. Over to you, Rotus.
Rufai, good morning to you. Good morning, Adesoa. Good morning, Doctor. Yeah, well, we're talking taxes. Take a look at quick look at this tweet from the federal government. They sent out a tweet alerting folks that there are going to be, there it is. This is to notify the general public that all account holders in financial institutions, banks, insurance companies required to obtain, complete, and submit self-certification forms to their respective financial institutions. Let's take a look at the next tweet quickly. It says, persons holding accounts in different financial institutions are required to complete and submit the forms to each of the institutions. The next tweet talks about the different forms: self-certification form, the different categories: form for entity, form for controlling persons, individuals having controlling interest in a legal person, trustee, etc., and forms for individuals. Then third tweet: failure to comply with the requirement to administer or execute this form will attract sanctions. Then I'll refer folks to the FIRS website. Let's take a look at the website. This is really about non-residents and the automatic exchange of information and CRS portal, which is the common reporting standards. See that blue arrow at the top of the screen? That's the section on the website where you would go to take a look at it. So let's move on to take a look at exactly what this is talking about. Okay, so these are the countries that Nigeria is going to be sharing information with. The AEO at the top right under the August 2020. AEOIS CRS is automatic exchange of information. CRS is common reporting standards. Now, this is 4 pages long. So there's a list of countries around the world that will be sharing income information or bank account information with Nigeria. So non-residents in Nigeria from Albania that are here will be shared with the Albanian banks, will be sharing information with Nigerian banks. Nigerian banks are doing the same for Albanians here who have accounts on the other countries. So it's a swap of information with each particular country. There's a presentation that they have on the CRS. Let's take a look at that. So this is essentially what you need to know. The FIRS website it's chock full of information. This is from the Director of Tax Policy and Advisory at the FIRS, Mr. Bonjula MO. Let's take a look at the background here. The first line says the Common Reporting Standards, right, is a global response to the FATCA. The FATCA is the Foreign Accounts Tax Compliance Act. It was passed in 2010 in the United States. That was part of the HIRES Act, the Hiring Incentives to Restore Employment Act. And basically what that act says is that foreign institutions outside the United States and other non-financial institutions are to report foreign assets held by U.S. citizens. So that is what the the CRS is supposed to be doing. They're following in that act and making sure that if you are outside the country, but every single one of your accounts, information is supposed to come back to the tax institute because they basically want to tax us. And then let's look at the self-certification form, which is on the website. This is essentially what they're talking about, what you have to fill out. And they're saying that you have to go to every financial institution in order to fill out these forms. So what about the feedback? Let's take a look at the tweet here from Olusegun Adeni, our very own. He says here, BVN driver's license, national ID card, INEC registration, international passport, biometrics were taken in all these places. So what is the meaning of this? So there's the pushback here from a number of people has been that, look, we've got all these information outlets there, data capture forms. Why would you now make Nigerians now start filling forms and going from one institution to the other in an effort to try and be able to, follow through on the AEOIS CRS Act? That's the gist of what's going on right now. So this has been trending in the business community with a lot of Nigerians pushing back, saying, look, there should be electronic means of collecting this information. I don't have to go around and start filling forms again. And that's pretty much our quick updates for you all this morning.
I mean, very valid point there raised by our own Segun Adeniyi. I don't see the reason for this. And it shocks me that this is happening at a time like this, when you would expect better. You would expect, more injection of capital into the economy. You would expect, palliatives as regards high petrol prices and the likes. You have all this data. You took tons of biometrics for BVN. You took tons of biometrics for everything. What else do you want us to go fill and line up in
quickly, Rotus, how is this different from the BVN, which already exists? And is this likely to discourage people from engaging with financial institutions, particularly when the CBN at various times have talked about deepening financial penetration, bank penetration within the Nigerian community?
Yeah, so the BVN is supposed to address this. If I opened a new account recently and they asked for my BVN, which links all my accounts, even for non-residents, who this is really about. Again, it's about sharing information with non-residents and the nations where those residents are from. So each country will share the information back and forth. But it could be discouraging because now you're going to make some people skittish. You could make folks not want to actually engage with financial institutions. That was what the BVN was for. It was supposed to link all the accounts that you have with every single bank, and they're supposed to have this information.
I mean, I don't see the sense in this in an era of COVID-19 where even the financial institutions are still opening in staggered manners because they don't want to have the crowd in. Yeah, not saying people should go to all their financial institutions to get this reporting and this self-form. It doesn't make any sense.
Incredibly archaic. It's archaic.
But thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rotus.
Right, thank you so much for that. We'll go for a COVID-19 update. Aaron, how's it going? Eli Lilly, any hope on that? Okay.
Oh, we're waiting for Aaron.
Because if you ask people who go about filling forms, there will be many people who will just be discouraged and they will just opt out of the financial system. If we're saying we want to deepen financial inclusion, we want to deepen bank penetration, and then you keep introducing measures that discourage people, then of course it's counterproductive. You are contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to have better coordination, better clarity, better articulation in terms of some of the policy interventions that we have. And it's not just in the financial sector, also in other sectors, of the economy. This is something that could create unnecessary bureaucracy, put people under stress, and discourage people who want to access the financial system.
I mean, I would
Except it's an admission that the BVN system that was put in place is not working.
Exactly.
But I would have thought...
And that should be so indicated if that is the case.
I would have thought that they have the back end to the BVN. They can see everything. You can take that information and share with people, with other countries, if you want a reciprocity as regards sharing. And I would have thought to a large extent, because, Dr. Abati, I even want to, explore that thinking that, is there an indication that the BVN is not working? But everything you do in this country, they ask for the BVN.
In any case, it looks like Aaron is ready.
All right.
Aaron, good morning.
Good morning to you, Doctor. Good morning to you, Rufai. Good morning to you, Adesua.
Good morning.
Yes, let's actually get the global updates in terms of COVID-19. And unfortunately, at the moment, we've actually crossed another grim milestone in terms of confirmed cases of COVID-19 globally. Across 188 regions and countries, we have now 30,181,110 at the moment, although the silver lining in this very dark cloud is the fact that 20.8 of this 30 million have recovered from COVID-19 at the moment. The deaths are standing at 946,000 plus. Now, let's actually get straight into the statistics to actually look at this, understanding that even though the reported cases, because initially it was hovering an average of 250,000 cases were being reported by the Johns Hopkins University on a single day. That has risen to well over 300,000. And you can see the sharp rise there by the last 24 hours, I've seen a sharp rise of by 8% as it stands right now. And the deaths are going up. If we could go back a little bit, the deaths are actually going and are slowing down. You can actually see there it's reading minus 1%. So that actually shows that steps are being made to ensure that the death rates are actually slowing down, even though the infection rates are actually going up. That is very key. Now, looking at the regions in terms of those places that we've seen, not just deaths, but also fatalities and cases, you can see the U.S. by far is still the epicenter of COVID-19 around the world, with over 6.5 million recorded cases and over 196,000 deaths. Brazil is second, and over 134,000 deaths with 4.4 million cases, followed by India. And India's cases are really, really troubling. Although their deaths, you can actually see them. Now, look at that. The death rate in the US is about 60%. The death rate in Brazil is about 64%. But the death rate in India is about 6.2, which is the lowest by any margin in the world. And people, it's still astounding people that India's death rate or case fatality ratio is extremely low. But there you actually have it there. Mexico also has a very low death rate, and not forgetting Nigeria. Okay, now, looking at Africa, you can see South Africa without the death rate is about 27.2%. Please, if you can help us go back, 27.2% before Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, Nigeria, then Ethiopia. You can actually see there. Now, moving on, if we were to actually still break it down, the places we are seeing that the cases are higher and are still staying high still remains Israel. Right now, Israel officially have entered into the second phase. There are talks about getting into a second lockdown in Israel. It has brought about a lot of political friction. Let's see how that one plays out. Argentina also, the South American country, has seen a sharp rise in cases. Spain, you can actually see the graph there in Spain. At a certain time, Spain tried to flatten the curve. They actually did. As soon as they opened their economies, boom, things went back to the previous heights, same as Peru. Also moving on to the next one now, we can also see some other countries where we are seeing major rises in cases of COVID-19. All right, moving on. Certainly, you can see Czech Republic, France, the United States. I must actually say that the United States have actually, even though they still have the highest number of deaths and cases, their numbers are actually going down. You can actually see it there alongside Paraguay also. Now, moving on also, now to actually explain places that are actually going down also. Brazil, even though their cases are high, they are second in terms of confirmed cases, second in terms of deaths. You can see that their cases are beginning to drop little by little, same as Colombia and Honduras. These are things that we need to actually factor into the equation here. I must actually say that we are looking at this and we are hoping that as much as possible, everyone can unite together, not just unite together and fight this particular pandemic. One thing that has been very prevalent in this era of COVID-19 has been the fact that frontline workers have been those at risk the most. And we've seen strikes, them protesting that they've not been given the necessary equipment or being armed properly to be able to fight COVID-19. And we've seen protestations around the world, not just in Africa, not just in Europe, not just in the Americas. We are seeing it virtually around the world where people are actually going out and saying that the government of the day are not doing enough to protect health workers. At the moment, the WHO has been speaking, because yesterday they actually held a day for the safety of patients, and Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, the Director General of the WHO, has been speaking on what the governments of the day need to do to ensure that they protect health workers around the world. As a matter of fact, in Africa, before we come to this particular one, in Africa, 41,000 cases of COVID-19 has been recorded from health workers alone. You can actually see it there. Now, this is health workers' deaths around the world. In Egypt, we've seen like 6 deaths from COVID-19. Algeria, 84. South Africa, 240. Zimbabwe, 1. Mauritius, 1. You can see the places like, if you can go back, the places like Brazil also having well over 624 in terms of deaths from COVID-19 of health workers. Russia, 631. And then it's really sad that this is happening. In the United Kingdom, 649. And if we move on to the next one, actually focusing as we chime into Africa, you can actually see that Africa, we are seeing a major rise, but not as much. And credence must be given to places like Eritrea, the Seychelles, who at the moment don't even have a single case of COVID-19 from their health workers, because if the health workers are safe, certainly they will be able to give optimum service to those who need it.
Well, Aaron, I think something that should be noted is the kind of response that we're seeing around the world. Israel, at the moment, is considering imposing new restriction measures in the face of the second wave of infections in the country. Now, in the United Kingdom, England is already shutting down communities in the northeastern part of England, where about 10 million people are reportedly on lockdown. And then hospitals have also been told to clear bed spaces for an upsurge in infection rates, because in the last 1 week, England alone has had about a 75% spike in the number of infection cases. And if you go to India, there's also a crisis there. The Prime Minister does not want to shut down, but unemployment figures have gone up. And India also faces a crisis with regard to unemployment. GDP has contracted by about 23.9%. But what is instructive here is that we see these countries, including Canada, where new restrictions have been placed on gatherings. From 100 for outdoor gatherings, that has been reduced to 25. For indoor gatherings, that has been shut down from 50 to 10 or 15. So you see countries responding. What are we doing in Nigeria? If you look at the COVID tracker for Nigeria, you see that, yes, Lagos has over 18,000 confirmed cases. But when you check the 10 top states in Nigeria, you will find that only 2 states from the north, maybe Kano. Kano is now number 10 on that list. And then Kogi is the very last, number 37 on the list, with just 5 cases. So you find that whereas the numbers will seem to be going up in the southern part of the country, in the northern part of Nigeria, the numbers are reducing. So what does this say to us? Does it mean that there is more testing going on in the south than in the north, or that nobody is testing anymore? Check that COVID tracker. You see that there is reduction as you move northwards. But as you move southwards, particularly around Lagos, Ondo, Oyo, Osun, you see that the numbers appreciate a little bit, on a daily basis. But in the north, it looks like the curve has flattened. Does that really reflect the reality? Or there's something we're missing in Nigeria in terms of how we're proceeding in the face of the easing of restrictions?
Well, Aaron, thank you for also bringing the story about the doctors who have died across the world. 2 weeks ago, the Presidential Task Force made it known that 14 doctors in Nigeria had died from COVID-19. These are the true heroes of the pandemic. Those are the front line. And the least we can do is to ensure that we protect ourselves so that we protect them. I mean, if we protect ourselves, we'll reduce the numbers of critical cases and even the general cases that will end up being seen by them. So it also calls to question what we are doing in appreciating them. They are complaining about hazard allowances, insurance. These are things that we should take care of. They should not be debatable. And again, let's just use this opportunity to thank them for what they do.
Yeah, the true heroes. You can say that over and over again. But I just want to sound this. Today is the final deadline for countries to sign up for COVAX, the scheme that will make it easier, even for poorer countries, to be able to get vaccines when it's out, the COVAX scheme. Today is the final deadline. My big question is, I pray that Nigeria signed up for it already.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron. Thank you. We'll see you on Monday.
Yes, and that's all on the news headlines.